The topic of this presentation is formation of energy bands in solids. So, first of all, I want to give the plan of presentation. In this presentation, first of all, we will study what and know what are the energy bands in solids. Then we'll go to the energy band formation in crystal silicon. Then, on the basis of energy band diagram, we will classify the materials, metals, semiconductors, and insulators. And then we will know about the direct and indirect band gap semiconductors. First of all, the energy bands in solids. As we know, all solids are made up of atoms and molecules. So, to determine their electrical properties, it is must to know their energy band diagram, how these materials get formed. So when isolated atoms are brought together to form a solid, various interactions occur between neighboring atoms. The forces of attraction and repulsion between these atoms will find a balance at the proper interatomic spacing for the crystal. And this interatomic spacing is known as the intermolecular distance. It is generally denoted as the small d. In the process, important changes occur in the electron energy level configurations, and these changes result in the varied electrical properties of solids. So this energy level band diagram decides the electrical properties of all the solids. In a solid, many atoms are brought together so that the splitting of energy levels form essentially continuous bands of energies. Let's understand energy gap formation for a silicon atom or a silicon crystal. As we know, electronic configuration of silicon is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, and 3p2. There are total 14 electrons in this. Each atom in this configuration has available, for example, in the 1s2 state, there are two states are available for electrons. In the 2s state, two states are there available, and in the 2p level, there are six states available. In the S state, there are two electrons. Again, in the 3p, there are six states available, and also the higher states are available. So let's see the orbital model of a silicon atom. In this model, as we can see, there are 14 electrons in the silicon crystal. The 1s state has two electrons, as shown by here, and which are seated with the opposite spin. Then the next 2s2 and 2p2, 2p6, 2p6, 1s2, 2s2, and 2p6. This is a noble gas configuration, and it will not participate in the energy band formation. The rest of the orbitals, that is 3s2 and 3p2. 3s has two electrons, and also so are the in the 3p state. These are also two electrons. These four electrons and these two levels, 3s and 3p, will participate in the energy band formation. And these two levels are belongs to the valence level of the silicon crystal. The two 3s and two 3p electrons interact to form the four hybridized sp3 electrons when the atoms are brought or close together. So, continuing, if we consider n atoms of silicon in a solid, there will be 2n belonging to 2s state, again 2n belonging to 1s and 2s states, 6n states belonging to 2p states and 2n states belonging to 3s, and similarly 6n states belonging to 3p states. As the interatomic spacing decreases, these energy levels split into bands, beginning in the outer shell. Outer shell belongs to n is equal to 3 shell. As the 3s and 3p bands grow, they merge into a single band composed of a mixture of energy levels. This band of 3s and 3p levels contains 8n available states. So let's see the energy band splitting diagram. It will give us the more details. This is the energy band formation diagram for the silicon crystal. Now, in this diagram, as we can show, we can see there are four quantum numbers: n, the principal quantum number; l, the orbital quantum number; m, the magnetic quantum number; and s, spin quantum number. Now, in this diagram, on the vertical axis, there is relative energy of electrons, which is going upwards, and on the horizontal axis, there is relative spacing of atoms. So that means as we form a solid, the atoms come closer, and the atomic spacing between atoms decreases. That means it is moving opposite to the sign of the arrow, that is from right side to the left side. Atomic space is decreasing from right when we move from right side to the left side. So in this energy band diagram for silicon, as we can see, this lowest level is the 1s level. This is the inner shell, whose principal quantum number n is 1, and belonging to s state, l value is 0, m is also 0, and spin is up and down. That means clockwise and anti-clockwise, both positive and negative. So similarly, if we go up to the 2s level, the principal quantum number is 2, the orbital quantum number are 0 and 1, which belongs to this level belongs to 2s, and the upper level belongs to 2p. Now, if we move forward, the upper level, this level belongs to 3s state, and this level belongs to 3p state. Now, as we can see in the previous slide, the configuration of silicon, that is 3s2. So there are 2 electrons for a single atom of silicon. And when it comes to the n number of atoms of silicon, there are 2n electrons in this 3s state. So these 2n electrons belong to 2n states. Similarly, in the 2p state, there are 2 electrons. So these 3p states, in the 3p state, there are 2n electrons for the n number of atoms, and these belongs to the 6n state. So that means for the 3s state, there are 2n states available, and for the 3p states, there are 6n states available. So as the atoms come closer, that is interatomic distance is decreasing, these two bands will overlap and form 4n electrons and gets combined. After overlapping, they are at this position where these 2n electrons of 3p and 2n electrons of 3s, these gets combined and form the 4n electrons, and the total states also get combined. 6n states plus 2n states comes to 8n states at this point. Now, if the interatomic distance again decreases to a lower value, the splitting of the band started, and this splitting of the band gives in result two bands, two energy bands. The lower one, this one, with the 4n electrons and 4n states, and rest of the half states, other half total there are 8n states. Half of the states, 4n states are with the lower band, and half of the states are with the upper band, 4n states. Now there are only 4n electrons. So all 4n electrons will occupy the lower band. That means lower band, or also it is known as the valence band, will get completely filled, whereas the upper band, which is known as the conduction band, will be completely empty. There are zero electrons in this band. So let's move to the text part of this explanation for this diagram. So as we have considered the n number of atoms in the solid, there are 2n this type of states with the interatomic spacing decreasing, the energy level split into the band, beginning with the outer shell n is equal to 3, and these 3s and 3p bands group together to merge into a single band composed of a mixture of energy level, and the band of 3s and 3p contains 8n states, as I have shown in the diagram. Now, as the distance between atoms approaches the equilibrium interatomic spacing of silicon, this band splits into energy bands separated by energy gap Eg. So these two bands get separated by an energy gap Eg. The upper band, which we call as conduction band, contains 4n states, and similarly the lower band, which is known as valence band, contains the rest of the 4n states. Thus, apart from the low-lying and tight-bound core levels, the silicon crystal has two bands of available energy levels, separated by an energy gap Eg. This Eg is the band gap of the material. This energy gap does not contain allowed energy levels for electrons to occupy and is known as forbidden band. Since in a perfect crystal it contains no electron energy states. That means this forbidden gap, which is there in the diagram, this forbidden gap does not contain any electron energy states. Energy states will lie either in the valence band or in the conduction band. The 4n electrons must occupy states in the valence band or the conduction band in the crystal. At the 0 Kelvin, the electrons will occupy the lowest energy states available to them. As we can see in the diagram, this is the band gap Eg. This is the band gap of Eg. The upper band is known as the conduction band. It is completely empty, zero electrons are there, and the lower gap, which is known as valence band, contains all the 4n electrons which are lying in their valence shell. So at the 0 Kelvin, electrons will occupy the lowest energy state. So that's why all electrons lies in the lowest energy state as energy is increasing upside. So these states have lower energy and these states have higher energy. In this case, the silicon crystal, there are exactly 4n states in the valence band available to the 4n electrons. At 0 Kelvin, every state in the valence band will be filled while the conduction band will be completely empty of electrons. So this opens up a band gap which is denoted as Eg, and its value will depend upon the material's electrical properties. So to combine whole of the picture, we can see the formation of energy bands in silicon crystal first involves hybridization of 3s and 3p orbitals. Here, as we can see, this is the 3s with 2 electrons, and this is the 3p level with another 2 electrons of the silicon atom. So these overlap to form a hybridized orbital. This psi hybridization is showing the hybridized orbital. Here it is the hybridized lobe of the orbital. Now, the hybridized orbitals on the neighboring silicon atom can overlap to form psi b or psi a. This hybridization will result in the two bands, this lower one, which is lower in energy, psi b and psi a. Psi b is known as the bonding molecular orbital and psi a is known as the anti-bonding molecular orbital. So these two bands are formed. This this band, which is bonding molecular orbital, also known as the valence band, as there are multiple levels of energies are lying in this. And these circles are showing that these energy levels are filled. And similarly, the psi A, which is the anti-bonding molecular orbital, contains the multiple energy levels which are empty. So only energy levels with the straight lines are shown here. These are not filled. These are all empty. And the gap between these two levels is known as the energy gap Eg. So ultimately this forms a whole of the crystal, as it is a crystal of silicon is shown here. So moving further, now as the energy band gap formation is there, now on the basis of this band gap, we can identify or classify the materials. So what kind of materials we can classify? First of all, the metals, semiconductors and insulators. As we know, every solid has its own characteristic energy band structure. The variation in the band structure is responsible for the wide range of electrical characteristics observed in the various materials. For example, same element in different arrangement of atom may have different band structure and related properties. So let's understand this by a silicon crystal. At ground state, the silicon band structure is such that the valence band is completely filled with electrons at 0 Kelvin, as we have shown in the previous slide, and the conduction band is completely empty. There can be no charge transport within the valence band because all levels in the valence band are completely filled. There is no empty space available from where electrons can move. That means in the valence band there is no scope of charge movement. Similarly, no electrons in the conduction band, so no charge transport can take place there either. Because all the levels in the conduction band are completely empty. There is no single electron available in the all of the conduction band, so nothing moves there. Thus, silicon at 0 Kelvin is high resistivity as that typical of insulators. So this is the total band diagram of three materials. Here, first one is the insulators. The filled band gap, filled valence band is here, and the empty conduction band is upside. So this band gap Eg is much larger if we compare with the band gap of semiconductors. Here it is a small, and in metals which is over where there is overlapping of the conduction band and the valence band. There is no Eg or the band gap is available in the metals. So if the Eg is large, that means the material is insulating because the sufficient thermal energy or the optical excitation energy is not available or cannot excite the electrons from the valence band to reach to the conduction band because the band gap Eg is much higher. But in case of semiconductors, if we excite them or heat them, if we provide the thermal or optical excitation energy, because lower value of band gap, it is around 1 electron volt. So if we excite these electrons, the sufficient amount of energy, these electrons will jump to the conduction band upside and the charge transport takes place. Whereas in case of metals, these bands, the filled valence band and the empty conduction band, these bands overlap. So even at the 0 Kelvin temperature, these electrons can easily move from the valence band to the conduction band because there is no band gap. They don't require any excitation amount of energy to start the conduction process. Next, semiconductor material at 0 Kelvin have basically the same structure as insulators. A filled valence band separated from an empty conduction band by a band gap containing low allowed energy space. The difference lies in the size of the band gap, which is much smaller in semiconductor than in insulator. For example, the semiconductor silicon has a band gap of 1.1 composed with the 5 electron volt for diamond. And if we compare the diamond structure, diamond also belongs to the fourth group of the periodic table. Diamond is basically carbon. Diamond is made up of pure carbon. So silicon also belongs to the same group. Silicon also belongs to the same group, and the silicon has the lower band gap of 1.1 electron volt as compared to diamond, which has a higher band gap of 5 electron volts. So belonging to these values, the silicon is a semiconductor with a lower value of Eg, and diamond, which has a higher value of Eg, that is 5 electron volts. It is a insulator. Now moving further, the relatively small band gap of semiconductor allow for excitation of electrons from the lower band to the upper band by a reasonable amount of thermal or optical energy. For example, at room temperature, a semiconductor with a 1 electron volt band gap will have a significant number of electrons excited thermally across the energy gap into the conduction band. Whereas in insulator, Eg is much higher. Eg is much higher, that is 10 electron volt, will have a negligible number of such excitations. Thus, an important difference between semiconductor and insulator is that the number of electrons available for conduction can be increased greatly in semiconductors by thermal or optical energy. In metals, the bands either overlap or are only partially filled. Thus, electrons in empty energy states are intermixed within the band so that electrons can move freely under the influence of an electric field. As expected from the metallic band structure, metals have a high electrical conductivity. Now, moving to the next topic, what are the direct and indirect semiconductors? So, as shown in this diagram, on the left side, here it is the band diagram of a direct band gap semiconductor, and on the right side, it is the band diagram of a indirect band gap semiconductor. This curved surface is showing the valence band. Here it is the valence band of an indirect band gap semiconductor, and here it is the valence band of a direct band gap semiconductor. Similarly, the upper curve, these are showing the conduction bands. So this is the conduction band, this is also the conduction band. Now coming to the direct band gap semiconductor, there is some band gap Eg, and the specific difference in these two diagrams is value of k, that is propagation vector. Along horizontal axis, this is the propagation vector, and along vertical axis there is energy. So E energy is increasing upside. For the lower or the valence band, energy is lower, and for the conduction band, energy is higher. So when an excited electron jumps back from the conduction band to the valence band in the form of photon or energy, as this curved arrow is showing the photon emission, and the photon energy emitted is in the form of radiation having h nu value. This h nu value is equal to the band gap of the material. So here it is the maxima of the conduction band, and here it is the minima of the conduction band. Minima of the conduction band and maxima of the, here it is valence band, VB. It is the maxima of the valence band, and it is minima of the conduction band. So in this diagram, you can see the maxima and minima This belongs to same K value. This K value is same for this point, that is maxima, and for this point, that is minimum. Whereas in the band diagram of the indirect semiconductor, this K value is different for this maxima and this minima. This minima has a K value somewhere here, whereas this maxima has K value this. So due to the difference in the K values of the valence bands, the transition is not vertical in case of indirect bandgap semiconductors. As in the direct bandgap semiconductor, the transition is completely vertical. The K value is not changing here. Whereas in this diagram, the electron is firstly coming to some trap level, and then by a vertical transition, it is coming down to the valence band. So now next explanation of this diagram, which is written here, the band structure of gallium arsenide. Gallium arsenide is an example of a direct bandgap semiconductor, and as shown in the diagram, in the conduction band, the maxima in the valence band for the same K value is 0. On the other hand, silicon, which is an indirect bandgap semiconductor, this silicon, which is an indirect bandgap semiconductor, the valence band maxima at a different value of K than the conduction band minimum. Thus, an electron makes a smallest energy transition from the conduction band to the valence band in gallium arsenide and can do so without a change in the K value. On the other hand, a transition from the minimum point in the silicon conduction band to the maximum point of the valence band requires some change in K. Thus, there are two classes of semiconductors on the basis of energy bands, that is direct and indirect. So these are the two classes of semiconductor, the direct bandgap semiconductors and indirect bandgap semiconductors. In the direct bandgap semiconductors such as gallium arsenide, an electron in the conduction band can fall to an empty state in the valence band, giving off the energy difference Eg as photon of light. On the other hand, an electron in the conduction band minimum of an indirect semiconductor such as silicon cannot fall directly to the valence band maximum, but must undergo a momentum change as well as changing its energy. That means in the direct bandgap semiconductor, the transition is always radiative. Radiative means always there is an emission of photon, whereas in the indirect bandgap semiconductor, the transition may not be radiative. The transition may be in the form of heat. That means the light will not emit there, but heat will be generated. So keeping this aspect in view, our semiconductor industry decides the material. The difference between direct and indirect band structure is very important for deciding which semiconductor can be used in devices requiring light output. For example, semiconductor, light emitters, and lasers generally made up of material capable of direct band-to-band transition, or of indirect material with vertical transition between defect states. So these are the basic requirements. For example, if you want to make a light emitting diode, you have to choose the direct bandgap semiconductor, because when excited electron comes back to the ground state, the energy emitted will be in the form of light. Whereas if you choose some silicon material for the light emitting diode, the energy will not be emitted, but the silicon diode will start heating itself. The references for the further study related to these are shown on the slide. These 4 books you can consult for the further study. And that's all for this topic. I hope you got the idea of this energy band formation as example for silicon is given there.